You've got big projects to tackle, but your day gets swallowed up by repetitive tasks and constant inquiries. It's hard to make progress when you're stuck putting out fires. That's where Element 451's AI assistants come in. Acting like an extra set of hands, you get your time back for the high-impact projects. Ready to reclaim your time? Visit element451.com/AI team to learn more.
Welcome to AI for You, the go-to podcast for higher ed professionals looking to integrate AI into their daily work. I'm your host, Brian Piper, the Director of Content Strategy and Assessment at the University of Rochester. Join me every other Thursday for practical uses of AI within higher education communications, marketing, and student engagement. We'll focus on ways to quickly integrate AI into your teams to increase your efficiency and effectiveness and help you optimize your workflows and processes. I'll interview experts and feature relevant use cases with the goal that every episode gives you at least one thing you can take away and start leveraging in your job today. AI for You is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Today's use case is about events and event planning. I've actually spoken with some event managers who tell me they don't need AI because they just run events. AI can be incredibly helpful when it comes to planning, organizing, and brainstorming for events. The prompt example in the show notes can be used to help get started with planning for a particular event, but there are so many additional ways AI can supercharge your events. Today we're talking with Tina Miller. Tina is the Executive Director of Creative and Communications at Arizona State University's Enterprise Technology, or IT division. And ASU is really leading the charge on AI integration and adoption, especially with their partnership with OpenAI. Let's jump right into the conversation. Thank you so much, Tina, for joining us today. We're thrilled to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Brian.
So I want to start off by, I've talked with you lots about what's going on at ASU and the amazing innovative work you're doing with AI. I want you to just share some of that with the listeners and tell them what sort of things you're doing with AI at ASU, like outside of the academic spaces.
Sure. Well, and I'm happy to share that. I would also say, too, that if anybody's interested, they can go to our AI website at ASU. So it's ai.asu.edu. On that website, there is a ton of information about our technical platforms, news and events, digital trust guidelines, everything you need to know. It is our single source of truth for AI at ASU. So I really do encourage people to go there. As far as what we're doing at Arizona State University, there's basically three buckets that we use AI for. So there's the teaching and learning, which you acknowledged, research for societal impact, and then the third one is just the future of work operations. And so with teaching and learning, as you can imagine, we have a lot of projects. We partnered with OpenAI, which you and I've talked about before, to offer ChatGPT EDU to members of our community. And so through the licenses of ChatGPT, faculty, staff, and researchers can gain access to then work on projects. And so teaching and learning, that is a huge part of these projects. But we also have projects in research and, like I said, in daily operations. One of the ones that we're really excited about is called Degree Me. And it is a partnership that we at Enterprise Technology have with Ed Plus, who is another enterprise at ASU. And Ed Plus is really responsible for all the thousands and thousands of online students. So with Degree Me, what they do is there's a series of questions, and some of them are more about their hobbies, their interests, and it creates a customized degree plan for that student based on their interests, their hobbies, what they like, what they're good at. They have been testing it and with a lot of success, because AI is about personalization. I mean, that is the future, is hyper personalization. And so the Degree Me is a perfect example of that.
You can't do better than offering that personalized, individualized learning opportunity for students, really, custom to what they're interested in. So that's just amazing. So a lot of institutions are nowhere near the point that ASU is with your programs. When you go out and talk to other institutions, when you're at conferences presenting to people from other institutions, how do you recommend that they start? Where do they begin if their institution isn't doing anything with AI yet?
First of all, you have to get a core group of people together that are interested in this and that have a stake in it. And that would include faculty. If it is not recognized and championed at the highest level, meaning the president or the provost's office or whatever, it's going to be really hard to get that to do anything. So, I would say first is assembling a committee of like-minded individuals, marketing and communications, IT, whoever the administration is, to start looking at, that needs to be the governing body for how they're going to implement AI, because every university and college is different. And you and I have a lot of colleagues out there, and some of them, are what I hear is some of them say, well, we don't even have, we can't get it out of faculty. Like, faculty is really, they're not quite sure if they want to do it or not. And so, that's one thing, is make sure you have some strong faculty voices in that committee, because they're going to be representing the rest of the faculty when it comes to these AI projects or AI initiatives.
Yeah, and you started off with like an acceleration team. Can you talk a little bit about how that worked?
Yeah, so the AI acceleration team was created at in late summer of last year. It is led by Elizabeth Riley, and what they do, and they're housed out of enterprise technology, like I am. We're the IT division of ASU, and so the AI acceleration team has been charged with creating a bunch of internal projects and platforms that we can use in our community. So not only are they creating platforms, they created a My AI Builder platform so that people can start building bots. But they're really doing a lot of different proofs of concepts, like with Syllabot, and partnering with other divisions to see what exactly, whatever tools and platforms that they can create for better, like you said, learning and teaching success, work and research. And so that team is very instrumental in taking us into the future as far as what ASU can create on our own without using any outside tools.
And then, one of the other challenges that a lot of institutions face is just increasing awareness around the tools and the capabilities and the opportunities. And we've actually started talking about this ourselves as creating these like communities of practice. And I know you have those in place. Can you talk a little bit about those and how they work?
Yeah, we have several different communities of practice, and these started last fall because ASU is only about 15 months into this AI journey. And so we're still working it out, but we do have communities of practice around faculty, about digital trust, different, and again, they're kind of organized in those buckets, again, of, one of them is like the future of work and culture, and what does that look like? And so some of the communities of practice are more active than others, but we do have a huge community of practice meeting coming up this week, where we're going to get together, talk about what we've done since a year ago, and then how we want to shape these communities of practice going forward, because we're now at a different place than we were a year ago when we first created these communities.
Yeah, and I think, creating those opportunities for collaboration and communication are so essential especially when it comes to AI, because it's just moving so quickly and developing so fast that it's hard for any one person or one group to kind of keep up with everything that's going on. And having those other voices from those other domains come in and share how they're using the tools is so insightful. And like, while the application may be different, the practical use of the tool is still the same. So I think that's
and
a
I
fantastic.
tell people all the time when I present that, like nobody has this figured out yet. Like ASU, we're just about 15 months ahead of everybody, but nobody has it figured out because, like you said, it's happening so quickly that sometimes it's like, like it was you're grabbing sand and it's like you're like going through your fingers. It's like you can't hold it because it's always changing. And so we just try to anticipate changes and stay ahead of them. But no, I don't think anybody has this figured out yet.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you're talking with other institutions, what do you hear as the biggest challenges or obstacles that they're facing around AI integration?
I think first and foremost, it's support. It's like what you and I talked about. Is that they don't know where to start, or their institution is really dragging their feet, or just not fully embracing it. I mean, and I think that's part of it. Again, AI has to be embraced at the highest leadership level, which is what I talk about in my presentations. But I think that's part of it, is just being able to get it into it. Like, what does that look like at a university or a college level? And I think sometimes people don't really know where to start, and so sometimes people are just paralyzed, and so they don't do anything, which is probably not the right approach either. But yeah, so I would think that, and then also literacy, Brian. I mean, that's one thing that you and I talk about a lot, and that we hear a lot in the speaking circuit we're on, is it's okay to understand what AI is, but to be literate in it, to understand how it can be used responsibly, how it can be used to help the workforce and help our students when they graduate. That's important too. Literacy is also just as important as getting acceptance from the top down as far as how it will be implemented into their institution.
Yeah, so true. And, and being able to showcase the tools and the technology to people without them immediately fearing that their jobs are going to be lost or that they're going to be replaced. I think it's essential for, us as we're spreading the word about this technology to make sure that people understand that this is only to help them in their job and to make their job easier so they can spend more time focusing on the strategy and the creative and the things that are really, that take the human element and get rid of a lot of that repetitive work.
AI won't take your job, but somebody who knows how to use the tools effectively might. I mean, we have, I think, 24,000 employees, faculty, staff, researchers at Arizona State University, and there's no talk at all about AI taking anybody's job.
Right. And so much of that is understanding the limitations of the tools as well as the capabilities of them, because there are some things that they just don't do, and they definitely need human oversight because they get things wrong a lot.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think you can take humans out of it. I mean, and that's the thing, is you still need humans to have the creative thought about what it is you want to generate. Whatever tool you're using, you still need that human brain. Right. So I don't think, I'm hoping that the human will never be taken out of that, because it's essential.
Absolutely, for sure. And you mentioned before the importance of getting support from leadership. If you're at an institution where you don't have support, or leadership isn't just aware of the technology or the speed of change, or they're just, so focused on their own kind of needs and pain points that they're not paying attention, what can you do to help get them on board, or to make them aware of the impact that this is going to have, especially in higher ed?
I think it always starts with a case for change. And so if you're in an institution where you don't feel like there's any movement or there's not a lot of support, I think it's you have to have a powerful case for change about here's the future of what this looks like. Here's where we're at now, and how can we make plans? Because I mean, and honestly, that's what I had to do. You know, when I first came to enterprise technology, it was June of 2023. AI was never even uttered in my job interview. And so I hadn't even really known much about it other than I could ask, I can ask Alexa, like, to order me, a new pair of shoes when I needed them or whatever. So that's the extent I was using AI. But then within 2 months of coming to ASU, Lev Gonick, who was our chief information officer, who is appointed by President Crow to be in charge of AI, President Crow said, Lev, you're in charge of AI. So then Lev came to me and said, Tina, you're in charge of communicating about AI. And so I had to jump in, and I started first by listening to the Hard Fork podcast from the New York Times.
Podcast.
And
yes.
then that led me to into the artificial intelligence podcast. And one thing led to another. So as the leader, I had to educate myself about AI before I could get my team on board. And so that's what I would say to your listeners and your viewers is if you are having some obstacles, then you have to create a case for change. And when I did that, and I told my employees, like, this is not just about your profession. This is about your personal life too. And the sooner that you can understand, because this is not going away. The toothpaste is out of the tube. We're not going back. What are some of the ways I was trying to make it appealing to them so they understood really why it's so important? And I said to all of them, this was in June or August of 2023. And I said to them, by the end of October, I want everybody to be using at least 2 Gen AI tools, because I knew that we were going to be asked in the ASU community how we're using them, what we're doing. And as a team, I wanted them to be completely literate when it comes to AI tools. If it was our designer using the Adobe products, if it was our videographer using the Adobe products, or using ChatGPT or Grammarly or WordTune, but like I wanted them to be familiar with the tools. And so that's what I would say is a case for change is really the first way that you introduce it. But you got to find like-minded people who also have some weight at an institution so that you can kind of band together, because you don't want to do this alone. And there are people out there willing to help. You just have to find them and ask them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think coming up with personal use cases a lot of times connects with people, like, having it help you buy shoes. I think that's a very valid use case for AI. I have it do my meal planning for me, and that saves me hours of time every month. I mean, that alone pays for, the subscription to ChatGPT Plus that I, pay for every month. So
yeah.
This technology is advancing at a pace that, is unprecedented. We haven't seen this in any other sort of technology, whether it be the internet or mobile. Where do you think this is going, and what do you think the next 2 or 3 years is going to look like?
I can answer kind of from a higher ed perspective. And I would say this is even more than, this is even closer than 2 years away. But the whole idea of agentic AI, where we have agents. And I would say that for us, one of the things we're working on right now at ASU is we're creating a digital twin. We have 4 campuses in the greater Phoenix metropolitan area. Main one is in Tempe, but we have 3 other ones. And so we're creating digital twins of all of our campuses so that when people want to tour the campuses, they can actually go online and go in and take a sample, take a test drive in a class or walk through the campus and see. So it's that's something that we're really working on. I would say too, is having that agent with you, each student, what I see in the future of higher ed is that each student will almost like they'll have their own agent, like their own digital student that they can work with when they have financial aid questions. This agent can be their tutor for all their different classes. Like, so it's that's the beauty of AI, is that it can be individualized now even more than ever before. And so if somebody needs tutoring, their agent or whatever you want to, their digital twin or whatever, could help them with that, or help them with directions somewhere, or calling ahead to, see where, like what restaurants are available for dinner or whatever. I don't know. I'm just speaking up the top of my head. But I do see that. I do see for higher ed in the future, I do see that all students are equipped with a digital equivalent that will help them navigate through their academic journey.
Just the way that I'm using some of the custom GPTs that I've built, I think those are like training wheels for agents, mm-hmm. and they're just kind of preparing us for what's going to come next. And just getting people to recognize the opportunities. Like my daughter tells me all the time how much she hates AI, and it's cheating and it's taking away people's creativity. And so I totally understand her perspective, but last week she called me and she was having all sorts of problems with her Spanish, and she wasn't getting enough practice in her class. And so I just, picked up my phone and activated advanced voice and ChatGPT and asked it to translate everything into Spanish. And we had a little conversation, and she was like, okay, all right, well, maybe there's a few good use cases for AI. So it's just finding those opportunities to say, yes, this is a positive, that this is something that will help us.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny you mentioned the languages, because we one of the projects from this AI Innovation Challenge that we love to highlight is a language buddy. And so Christiane Reeves, who is an assistant professor in German, she created what's called the Language Buddy bot. And so they can actually converse back and forth with this bot and learn more about German in a conversational way that doesn't make them feel, paranoid or anxious if they'd have to do it in front of their classmates. And so now she's working on taking it to the next level by doing intermediate German. It was such a popular class with the students that now she's looking at, okay, how can I now expand it?
That's fantastic. Yeah. Talk a little bit more about your about that program.
Which program?
The competition.
The Innovation Challenge.
Yes, the challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to. So back in January of this year, we signed a deal with OpenAI, and so we started collaborating with them. What OpenAI wanted to do was to create a model for the education space. And so they wanted us to kind of work with them to say, okay, how is ASU using this, that they can actually turn those into case studies and help build upon the ChatGPT EDU. And so we in order to get access to ChatGPT, at the time it was enterprise. I think now we've switched over to EDU. But so what we did is we launched these innovation challenges. And so in order to gain a license, because we can't give licenses to every single, we have 181,000 students and 24,000 employees. And at $25 a pop, I don't think the Arizona Board of Regents would approve that. So we had to kind of find a way to scale it, to say, okay, what can you do with ChatGPT and make sure there's an impact? Because we don't just want to do the peanut butter method where we spread it everywhere and be like, good luck. We wanted to actually have it be meaningful and move the needle in one of those three areas: teaching and learning, research, or future of work. And so we launched this challenge. And we said, okay, present, they had to submit proposals. It was faculty, researchers, or staff. Because with students, we weren't giving students access in the first couple of challenges unless they had a specific faculty member that submitted a proposal that they could use it. And so with the Innovation Challenge, we accepted proposals based on one of those three areas, and then they would get ChatGPT for a semester so they can basically work on their project, determine what it is. And so we've had 4 challenges so far, and we have over 500 projects that are in flight right now. So 500 AI projects, and some of them will come to fruition and some of them won't, but we don't believe in having a strategic AI plan at ASU necessarily. It's more like little innovation centers all across the board, because if we wait for a strategic plan and working through that, everything is gonna pass us by.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard at High Ed Web in our AI community group discussion, someone asked about, what we thought of their institution coming up with a 3-year AI plan. It's like it's
I don't
too
think you
long.
can. I mean, you can barely do 6 months. Like
Right.
Friday, we dropped an AI journey, which is a 74-page publication of everything that we've been doing in AI for the past 15 months. And so you can go to tech.asu.edu/stories and see that publication. And so we're really, really proud of it. But there's a lot in there, and there's still a lot more for us to do. But I think your viewers and listeners would be interested to know this is kind of what we've done so far. I mean,
Yeah.
and some of those projects from the AI Innovation Challenge are highlighted in that publication.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic publication, and I will share the links to that and the other links that you mentioned in the show notes as well. So yeah, definitely recommend everyone checking those out. So I have a million questions for you, Tina, but I'll bring you back for another episode. How about that?
No problem.
I do always close my episodes by asking people, what specific AI use cases are most useful and helpful to you in your particular job?
For me, I use ChatGPT for a lot of things. So for example, we did a series of videos with the AI acceleration team because we wanted to do some bite-sized like tech talk videos to talk about some of the more technical areas of AI. And we had like over 70 pages of transcripts. And so I uploaded all of that and I said, okay, create scripts based on, for example, principled innovation. Principled innovation is basically the yardstick that we use when we create anything to do it responsibly and ethically. And so I said, okay, create a script about principled innovation. Everybody that had a quote about that, who they are, what the timestamp is. And so it created 10 scripts for me based on the topics and the subjects. And we had to go in, of course, because we all know you can't just take it at face value. But we went in, changed some things, and we used those. And so you can see those videos on ai.asu.edu under the events and news section. And you can see those tech talk videos there. And that's what I mean. Script writing to me is a cinch now because you can just, but I have there. That's the most recent one I can think of. But I use it probably 30% of my day.
And there was another ASU speaker at High Ed Web who was talking about all the custom GPTs that are being created within the institution, and those can all be shared. So I think that's just fascinating that you have, it's like what Moderna has done. I think they gave the ChatGPT to like 6,000 employees, and within 4 months, they had like 700 custom GPTs that people were using. There was a lot of research and stuff like that, but it's just fascinating to see this landscape grow and to see like people are now able to develop tools where in the past you had to be a coder or you had to be a developer to be able to create apps or to create these sort of tools. And now it's like AI gives us all the capability to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Moderna because what they are in I think it's the pharmaceuticals or the whatever space they're in, they worked with OpenAI, and so we did too. So they created this case study with OpenAI, which it's on their site, and I'll send you the link for that if you want to also include that in the show notes because they did one for Moderna too. So Moderna was their first one, and then we were their second one to talk about how to use it. So yeah, it's really interesting because there's so many use cases. And so I think it's important to share and especially for all of us in marketing and communications, there's so many ways that these tools can augment our creativity and our output let's use this. But again, still doesn't replace the human contact.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Tina, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and for sharing your insights with our audiences. And it's just fantastic talking with you. I always enjoy it.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for having me on the show.
I loved this conversation. So many great ideas from Tina, and I'm super inspired to see what ASU is doing. Their focused strategy around specific goals is how we should all be approaching AI from an institutional perspective. And their AI innovation program is an incredible way to ensure that this technology is integrated in a way that will have an impact while leveraging and rewarding human creativity and ingenuity. It always comes back to awareness, education, and AI literacy. And ASU has created a fantastic model that we can all use within our own institutions to help us become leaders and innovators in this space. Please reach out to me with unique ways that you're integrating and using AI. And as always, blue skies and keep creating. Thank you for listening to another episode of AI for You. I hope you found at least one useful thing you can take away and start adding to your workflows and processes today. Remember, the key to making the most of AI is to keep experimenting, keep learning, and of course, keep creating. AI for You is a part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to become a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Artis Kadu, Day Kibbles, Shane Baglini, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the next generation AI student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful and personalized interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.